How would I describe him? Well, he was a man who was both, he was able to be a good leader as well as one who was empathetic and sympathetic to the concerns of his teachers. He did his job quite well. He was extremely dedicated. And he was a good example as an administrator, as a teacher, as well as when he was a coach. A fine example. He always represented the school in a very dignified way. And he was a role model, I think, to pretty much all of us.
Yeah, he was a classic role model.
Yeah.
And I have to say that Tony Aiello was a huge supporter of my dad. Tony stood by my dad, good times, bad times, winning years, losing years, when parents weren't happy or kids weren't happy. Tony was always very solidly entrenched in supporting the program, knowing what high school athletics were about, supporting the kids. Tony would come to the games, and my dad had a tremendous respect and relationship with Mr. Aiello. He was my principal when I graduated.
In the fall of '62, I came here. I was here ever since until my retirement. I coached freshman basketball and I coached varsity baseball. It's quite an experience. I did coaching during my high school years, but it was more recreation. Well, sports were always a part of, I think, this environment. And this it goes back to when the school started in 1930, the boys' high school anyway, 1938 when it opened up. So basketball kind of drove things. You know, we didn't have at that time. We didn't have a gym when I first started. Senior in the community, the parish community built the gym, and I think it's opened up in '64, maybe '65. But anything that I was able to accomplish was because I had the good support, okay, of faculty and people who were here for many years. They trust you and confidence, and you respect them. And similarly with coaching staff and so on, you know, you're going to have success. You know, it's not always measured in wins and losses. I think it's measured in terms of the young men, and then when we consolidated here in '85, the young women who become part of the program, they make it. You know, the camaraderie between the coaches and the players, and you make the difference.
As a baseball player, it was kind of in the tight-knit community that we had. There was always a feeling of like pride that Mr. Aiello had coached baseball, because it was like he's one of us, which I can't think of a whole lot of authority figures that I wanted to be aligned with. Like that's kind of how I roll, and so it's probably the greatest compliment that I can give somebody is that like I wanted Mr. Aiello to be affiliated with us. I remember he came to my graduation party. Like, who does that as a principal? He's just a class act.
Well, I didn't think I deserved it. You know, that's quite an honor. You know, I'm very humbled by it. And Ken Jennings had to do quite a bit of marketing for that, and I appreciate it. So I said I'm happy to be part of that. But you know, I'm only one. Joining this particular Hall of Fame class is wonderful. I mean, we've got people here who still, the Shakes, you know, Helen still comes. You know, the Andersons, you know, who are also Hall of Famers. It's just, well, I guess Helen and George are Hall of Famers too, so it's just a remarkable community. I can do a little bit of that by being part of as an inductee and a Hall of Famer, then I'm just adding one note to the history.
Yeah, he was a special person. I really enjoyed working for him. And I didn't always agree on things, but you know, you learn.
That was expected.
Yeah, you learn with Tony. You ask once, and he says no. You ask again, and he said, "I'll think about it." By the time you ask the third time, we might do that now. You know that from your athletic record.